All right, cool. So, clearly this is a big topic for you guys, right? So this is what TIG does the best, right? We have multiple practices to focus on different technologies. You heard from Christian. We have actually a security and wireless practice director as well, virtualization, storage, etc. So you have a lot of expertise. It's not just one guy or a couple of guys architecting it. It's a bunch of resources. So one of the things we want to talk about is really delivering against what it is you're trying to do, right? I think customers are trying to determine what's my usage model, right? Am I trying to allow my users to do what they normally do with their own devices? Do I want to take control of them? Do I want to partially take control of them? Or do I want to buy them and control them 100%, right? I don't want them to play games on it, whatever. That's something that will help you go through. I'll talk to a few models of that. Obviously, you need to evaluate your infrastructure. Clearly, the reason I talked about collaboration is that's the tip of the iceberg, right? If you build for that, you're going to be able to do anything else. So we'll talk about how we can deliver against that and how we can augment you guys. I know that the challenge that IT is faced with right now, that this showed up overnight. We had no budget for it. We weren't ready for this. Not to mention we have proliferation of a new operating system we don't know a lot about, and we need some new tools that we don't know anything about either. Mobile device management, and then clearly security shifted a little bit. And then, and then determining your support requirements. So every customer is different, and this is a very custom thing that we're going to talk about. So as far as usage models are concerned, we've broken it out in 3 categories, and I'm sure that you guys are struggling with this. If you're a bring your own device environment, then clearly you have to play more in a prosumer or consumer model. Right, you're going to have to allow the user to do what he wants to. It's his device. The cool thing, and Christian kind of covered it from a security perspective, is Apple does a thing called sandboxing. So as you load your Microsoft Office, or not Office, but Outlook, your email, and certain applications, they're all protected, they're all locked, and they're all separate, right? Along with their own user stuff. There's no blending of anything in an Apple device, which is very important to recognize, right? I don't have to worry about things merging. Now, I do have to worry about certain things that could be critically dangerous to me, and a perfect example of that, which can be controlled and easily turned off, is the ability to take a picture of what's on the screen. If you guys have ever used an iPad or an iPhone, if I push both buttons at the same time, I got a snapshot, right? Now, clearly, if you're a healthcare, HIPAA, or financial institution, you can't allow that to happen. So mobile device management is going to allow us to turn it off. These are the things that we can help you with, understand, and talk through, right? And then discuss the type of model you want to deploy, right? And that's where Christian will come in, or Paul, who's our security director. As far as the models are concerned, they're all equally secure unless you go with a consumer model, right? Because then it's all up to the user. But you can secure the device the way you need it, so don't be concerned with that. It's just something you need to get educated on if you haven't already. As far as infrastructure, like we talked earlier, clearly the 2 big things right now is mobile device management and securing it, and wireless. I cannot tell you, I walk into customer environments already today, their wireless doesn't work. There's too many people on it already, and we're not even talking about doing stuff like this yet. Right? I have a perfectly good biomedical company that we went and visited that was putting 1,600 iPads into their environment. Now, their excuse was, well, we don't need to worry about all this stuff because they're all over the world. And I said, really? Okay. I said, but still, isn't that an email client? Isn't that a VPN access? Do I have to have bandwidth and licensing and everything to do that? Your VPN was designed for today. It wasn't designed for this. And they're like, oh wow, I never thought of that, right? You know why? Because it was a business decision that was made through marketing and sales that decided that they wanted to buy the iPads and the application. They never went to IT to ask them if it could be done, right? I'm sure some of you have already felt that, right? It's been completely bypassed. You got the business running at 1,000 miles an hour and never check to see if it works. Well, guess what? You need to put the brakes on because it's not going to work. I don't care how good an iPad is and how great the application is. If you don't have the freeway system in place, it's not going to go. So it's very critical. I'm sure you've read the articles that there are infrastructures where they've frozen them because they're melting down. School systems can't add any more devices because their network's not ready. So this is important to you, and we want to make sure we do it right the first time. So wireless, clearly we can help you do an assessment of that. Xirrus will talk to you about that as well. They're here. I encourage you to talk to them. There's a lot of players. You've already made your investment, but there's some things very unique about them that you want to hear. Remote access, clearly you have to understand and scale to support this, right? It was funny, that same customer, this big biomedical firm that was deploying and thinking they weren't going to have any issues, you know what they were testing in the back lab? Polycom's video client, so that they could communicate with their salespeople. How do you think that's going to run an infrastructure that wasn't designed to do it? It's not, right? So guess who's going to be getting yelled at? Polycom's going to be getting yelled at. Apple's going to be yelled at. Is it their fault? No. So keep that in mind. So, the support challenges. For you guys who are in IT and living this right now, I don't have to highlight these points, but these are the things that are happening. The costs are escalating, the complexity is escalating. Why? Because you're in the backseat on this thing right now. So let's help you figure this out quick. It's not that complex, it's not that big of investment. The best thing about wireless is that's a lot of access for not a lot of money. It just needs to be re-architected, right? It's not a big investment like putting core switches and routers and stuff like that in there. Data security compliance, consumerism, clearly consumerism is what's driving our world today. The growth of mobile usage. The one thing you need to know, if you don't know already, if you 3G enable your devices, these things are not devices that people are just going to use once in a while. They will use them full-heartedly all the time, especially if you put collaboration on them, and they will chew through bandwidth like no other. Which means your cost for predicting what it's going to be is not like a cell phone where I have an unlimited plan. I actually have to be able to gauge and monitor and manage my people, otherwise my expenses for these devices on the services side could get out of control. Okay, this is a whole new thing for us, right? We have to be very careful. Business process extension, internal policies, we talked a little bit about that. We really got to go back to HR now. We need to go back to our executive team and feel out how they want to work this. What the rules are going to be. Are we going to allow people to work at home more now? Are we going to allow the environment to be more virtual? You go into a lot of offices now, anybody can sit anywhere, right? It's not, no one has a desk anymore. And they have things in the ceiling that puts white noise, so you can't hear the guy 10 feet from you talking, which is really cool. So that kind of environment, think about that from a growth perspective. I can actually shrink my buildings, my real estate. I don't need all of that space anymore. So these are big things, you know, obviously corporations are going to be looking at. So, support capabilities for TIG. Obviously, we sell Apple. We sell the Apple Care. We augment that. Everything that we do is to the manufacturer specs and support in helping you support. But we take it a step further. Our idea, what we call TIG Care, is to be able to help you not only deploy these things, because I'm pretty sure, like this biomedical firm I was talking about, I'm almost 100% confident that the IT guy does not want to unbox 1,600 iPads, charge them all, load the software, get them ready, and out the door, right? That's not what you're getting paid to do. It's not, you don't have time already as it is to do your daily job. So this is very, very impeding in that environment. Not to mention the expertise isn't there, right? This is a new OS. These are new applications. I have to build an app store. I got to do a lot of cool things, right? But it's not something you did yesterday. So we can help you with that. We can help you design whatever it is that you're wanting to do. So as an example of enhanced capabilities, we can go as far, and again, this is custom, is delivering a kiosk so people can walk up to it. We can go as far as putting a person, concierge, that people can come to and ask questions to augment your desk. If they call a 1-800 number, they get somebody that actually knows how the iPad works or understands your environment, your applications. We can help you develop applications, all of those things. Those things that you don't have, we can augment. And if you don't want to own it at all, we can take the whole thing too. We have a lot of customers who have come to the conclusion that they just can't manage this thing right now. They don't have the expertise in mobile device management. They don't have the expertise in the iPad, et cetera, and so they just hand it off. And it can be completely managed in a virtual cloud state, which is great for you guys, right? You get to go do what you're paid to do. As you can see up here, we can do automated workflow, inventory, asset tag these devices, right? We can do whatever it is that you need. They're charged, they're ready, we ship them to your end users automatically, whether they're here or local, global, or wherever, right? We can make sure they have the right applications. Go ahead.
Is some of this service provided, is it aftermarket organizations already own iPads and aren't looking at buying?
So as an example, we do some of this internally and then lead through partnerships, because this is a global reach that we do. So as an example, the partner that we work with in this environment, they today already do T-Mobile, they do Google, and large customers like Cisco and IBM, et cetera. So we're partnered with a provider that this is their expertise. So if we don't have it in-house, they're an extension of us, so we do have it in-house, right? So we're able to deploy pretty much anywhere and support any customer at any size, right? If they're managing T-Mobile, as you can imagine, that's a lot of people, or Google. If you go into Google today, they have actual a person, a concierge, and a help desk. You can walk up and show them your iPad and whatever issue you have, and they'll walk you through it or fix it or whatever it is. So you can go that far. It just depends, right? We're working with banks that clearly want that kind of ability, because a lot of the users, right, from an IT perspective, you're not staffed to have everybody coming at you all the time. So let somebody else deal with it, right?
Is this for product already owned? We're just talking service.
This is services. This is services, right? So if you're in that situation now and you need more help, we're here for you.
So in answer, yes, it can be both. It's a new product and product you already have.
So, obviously, infrastructure migration. Clearly, that's what we do every day. I've already named off the practices. We cover all the IT buckets, right? And we work together to help you in the entire bucket, which is the most complex thing that we have going on right now. The same problem you have in IT, we have the same problem in our own company, right? My practices are broken out divisionally, but what we sell and work on with our customers are completely overlapping. Question?
If we were to offer app load, how do we do that when each iPad is actually a personal device?
Well, that's where mobile device management comes into, right? So you're obviously not going to kit them if they've already been delivered. What you would probably more than likely kit in an already owned device is if you want them to have a keyboard or a case, and there's something that the company wants to offer to augment the device that's been purchased. And then through MDM, as soon as they hit OK to accept, all those applications that are company specific and security and everything will upload right onto the device. So it's completely managed at that point. So, and then when they leave, by the way, because everyone always gets concerned with this, when we say wipe the device, we can wipe it clean if it gets lost, just in concern, because the end user themselves, if it's their device and the company's content, both sides are worried about it, right? But if they leave, and all you have to do is go into your MDM, turn off the key, and all that content that's specific to your corporation is no longer any good, and eventually just disappears off the device. They can't see it anymore anyways. So that's really makes it really easy, right? But again, managing.
You're talking mostly about company devices, but what about the personal devices?
Same thing. I'm talking about anytime I talk, it's always both, right? The only difference is what model are you going to go with, right? And we can manage to either side. The other thing that's important in this too, is the ability to support broken products. So through this service, we can set it up so that you can do break fix within hours. Okay. So if someone breaks their iPad, your CEO drops his iPad, you're going to wait to go buy another one, or wait till Apple ships you another one, or whatever else. Am I glowing? It's my camera. We can actually set it up so that you can turn around devices within hours, right? So these are the kind of services we can do. It just depends on how big you are and what you want to do. Yeah, so again, same thing, right? Whatever it is that you need to get educated on, whether it's product specific or it's being able to support the device, we can help you with that. Okay?
Could we revisit wiping just one more time? So wiping a device, obviously you're assuming that device is on the wireless network somewhere.
Right.
So we have a lost device somewhere out in somewhere, and we are going to disable it in our MDM, and then someday if that device turns back on,
Right.
could you just tell me, how does it know to go wipe
Yeah, so everyone asks that question, right? So clearly an iPad is no good without it accessing the network, right? You have to talk to the network for it to be usable, right? There are things that are running on it that you can just live with, but you have to talk to the network. As soon as that touches the outside world, and this is critical too, that's a great question, because mobile device management, there's different ways of approaching it. So for example, one that we lead with often is FiberLink Mass 360. And their service or their ability to do MDM with you is in the cloud. So they are always seeing everything outside or inside your organization, right? It's not specific to you. So you're right. So if I was managing it and I didn't talk back to my corporate, I wouldn't necessarily know. But Apple's fixed that problem too. So within Apple, you can wipe that device as an end user. So you have that control too from an Apple perspective.
Now, I'm assuming if a device has been deemed
like compromised, and you quote unquote wipe, can you wipe the part that relates to the corporation, and then they keep their personal stuff that's
Yeah.
on it?
So you actually said two things. One, compromise. What does compromise mean? Well, it can mean that I've lost the device, or they jailbroke it. Everybody familiar with jailbreaking? So jailbreaking is when I go in and I manipulate the ROM of the device and boot up my own version of code that opens the iPad up. Clearly, you do not want devices in your environment, especially if it's secure information, running in a jailbroken state, because that device is open to the rest of the world too. So then again, that goes back to the type of technologies you would use. There are agents that you would load on devices to assure and make sure that doesn't happen, right? So that's another subject in itself. So you want to make sure those devices are locked down. You don't want people messing with them because it becomes a compromising situation for you. The wiping, I can do wipes and wipe the device and make it reboot just like it was brand new. Or I can remove the keys from the sandboxes, which is your corporate information, and it's no longer useful. So, and their stuff maintains. So if you're in a bring your own device environment, or it's an end user device, I can wipe it without taking their data and killing the device. So, example, Microsoft, a lot of people use ActiveSync. If you do a wipe with ActiveSync, it kills everything. Everything. It doesn't discriminate. So to be aware of that if you're using it. And then the other one I brought up again is expense control. We can help. You know, if these are all 3G devices, we can have them turned on, phone numbers, deal with all the expense management for you, give you reports against it, all those things. These are obviously offline conversations depending on what you want to do. A lot of companies we've found have mobile phones or been managing mobile phones and BlackBerries for years, right? And so they bought some form like good technologies to be able to control and manage that. But you'll find with most corporations, no one wants to deal with that mess, right? And so this bringing MDM and adding more mobile devices, you know, cellular-wise, makes it even more complex. So we can take both of them off your hands if you want to, and make it simpler. Because the tools have been created and automated for you to be able to get what you need faster, instead of some accountant trying to figure it out, right? So we can help with that.